Welcome to the Spring 2018 Art Institute of Philadelphia Producing and Directing. I'm your host, Thomas Mason. During the past 11 weeks, we have been tasked by our professor, Craig DeVideo, to come up with various public service announcements, commercials, and electronic news gathering. We have gone and interviewed our friends, our family, and strangers in the streets. Speaking of streets, my first guest today is Aaron Streets, who is going to share with us his PSA announcement.
That was a great intro, nice segue. I really appreciate that. Well, my segment is about, well, first let me introduce myself, shake your hand properly. My segment is about just being mindful of the media that we consume in today's, technology-based world. A lot of media is out there and it's just passively watched. People don't really question like what they're seeing. So my PSA is just to, wake people up to the idea of being mindful watchers of digital media today. So that's it.
That sounds very interesting, Aaron, and I have to tell you, during the time of school, I've been really inspired by a lot of the things that the students have been creating here. So with that, we're going to take a look at our first PSA today by Aaron Streets.
In the age of digital technology, it can become quite easy for us to lose sight of our cultural responsibilities and become passive spectators of the world around us. Distractions are everywhere, and these days they're virtually inescapable. So what can we do? Hide from entertainment altogether? That would be absurd.
Wow, that was really interesting. Now let's bring up our second guest today, Alexus. Alexus, how are you today?
Hello, thanks for having me. Good morning, Tom. All right, so my PSA is about littering and the effects of littering. When we think of littering, we just think of the earth and how it can make the streets dirty and, make it just look cheaper, like a place you don't want to be. It can also hurt other people. I just wanted to magnify that. So that's what my PSA is about, how littering can hurt everybody, any living thing.
So pretty much the proverbial slipping on the banana peel, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that, and it's very irritating to always see all this garbage just flying around, especially on windy days here in Philadelphia. So with that, we're going to take a look at Alexus' PSA on littering. Well, that was really awesome. And I hope that's a message that a lot of people take to heart, because it only takes one person to pick up their own garbage. Now, also having Alexus up with here today, we also did what were known as electronic news gathering. And so with that, could you please tell us about your electronic news gathering?
All right, so for our electronic news gathering, me and my partners, Tyrone and Frederick, we went out to Rittenhouse Square and played Would You Rather. It was a fun and interesting experience. I really liked it. It was very interesting. That's really much all I gotta say about it.
Okay, well, I'm very curious about catching it too and seeing how this went for you. So let's take a look at Alexus' electronic news gathering.
Hi, it's your host Alexus here at Rittenhouse Square. We're about to interview a few people here, and we're about to play Would You Rather. The people who allowed me to interview them for this challenge are
Abdul Ali, Abdullah Muhammad.
Ben?
Anna.
Devin Taylor.
Kingsley Ibaniche.
Emma.
Sierra.
Jameer Harmon.
Action.
Would you rather be able to teleport anywhere or be able to read minds?
Teleport anywhere.
Where's the first place you would go?
Egypt.
Teleport.
Teleportation. I don't need to. Teleportation. I don't need to read.
Where's the first place that you guys would go if you guys could teleport?
Egypt.
Ah, two for two.
I was gonna say Nigeria. I'm from Nigeria. But
Oh, let's get it. Oh, we 3 for 3 out here.
Teleport.
All right, where's the first place you would teleport to?
LA.
Teleport anywhere.
All right, where would you teleport to?
I would probably teleport to like the nearest galaxy, to the Milky Way.
Would you rather your shirts always be 2 sizes too big or 2 sizes too small?
2 sizes too big.
2 sizes too small.
Too small?
It's like, nah, too big. Yeah.
2 size too small.
You don't want the big, man? You rather have like a tight little shirt on?
I never had that. I'm saying.
All right. All right.
Too big. Anything too small is uncomfortable and can't breathe with that.
Right, it's about to be summer. It's too hot for that.
Definitely too small.
Too small?
Oh no, too big.
Too big. All right.
Not wear a shirt than it is to wear one that's 2 sizes too big, right?
I don't know.
Right, yeah, actually.
She was
I'm
big.
changing my answer. I'm going too big. 2 sizes too big.
Too small. What? Too small.
Too big.
2 sizes too big.
All right, for life. Would you rather find your true love or a suitcase with $5 million in it and be single for the rest of your life?
Be single for the rest of my life and had that suitcase with $5 million in it.
With no hesitation.
True love. True love for sure.
100% true love.
Right, y'all can make that $5 million together.
True love, only because in my head my true love has $5 million.
Ha!
$5 million.
I mean, $5 million. Yeah.
You'll be single for the rest of your life.
For the rest of my... Nah.
Don't you want to make $5 million with your love?
No. Money
procreate.
doesn't... Money doesn't... I didn't understand your question. Money doesn't trump, happiness. So, I mean, true love.
So you rather...
And we can make $5 million.
What? Definitely the suitcase.
I don't like that answer. I would rather find true love.
Would you rather be unable to use search engines or unable to use any social media, including YouTube?
You would not use any social media.
Right, you gotta get your Googles on.
Social media, because I feel like social media can be a bit toxic if you use it too much, especially like today's age with like bullying and things like that. Definitely social media.
I'll say in the market that I'm in, I'd get rid of Google. A lot of folks are lazy these days, so Google has become like, the information when, you can find the information, you can dig for information, you can read. Social media is a big platform for artists and, it's marketing. You need marketing as an artist, so I'd keep that.
Never use social media again. Because I'm on the cusp. I'm like a Generation Xer and like / millennial. I'm like on the cusp of that. So I remember when we didn't have social media. So I don't really need Facebook.
Social media. Because I'm an artist as well, though it's a good platform for artists, I say Google is more beneficial because you know what I'm saying? And you can prosper without social media. You know what I'm saying? Like, they've done it 10 years ago.
Would you rather lose all of your money and valuables or all the pictures you ever taken?
All the pictures I ever taken.
Wow, that was a hard one to me.
Definitely money and valuables.
I think also money and valuables.
So you'll get rid of your money and valuables and keep your pictures? Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I would probably say every picture, because with money you can make new memories and you could take new pictures.
But no more pictures. That's no pictures at all.
Probably not.
That's a
really good question.
That's a good question.
Think about this or what? What's going on?
Yeah, I got them written down.
Define valuables though.
Anything you consider valuable, your money and anything you consider valuable.
Photos
or pictures, no pictures ever.
You know what?
I say valuables.
Valuables. I mean, you can have your photos could be in your memory.
Exactly. I'd say let the valuables go. You know what I mean? I'd rather keep the photos.
Right, you could get the money back. You can make money.
You know what I'm saying? But that memory, that physical memory, man, might be gone forever.
Right.
And my memory is bad. So
Dang.
you know.
Right, don't you want to show your kids your baby pictures?
Like, look, when I
would.
weighed 500
I would
pounds
love-
at 5. Right. So,
Probably all my money and all my valuables.
Probably all the pictures. Yeah.
All the pictures.
Over your money and your valuables. A lot of money and valuables over your pictures.
I mean, shoot, I'm an accounting major, so I'm about to have all the monies. Y'all can take them pictures.
I don't crack it up. Yeah, I do fashion design, so that's kind of important to me.
All right, I can dig it. Would you rather be alone for the rest of your life or always surrounded by annoying people?
Be alone for the rest of my life.
Alone. Definitely.
lonely. I'd be alone. I'm done.
Annoying people can be beneficial. So I guess I'll say annoying people.
Alone for the rest of my life. I hate annoying people.
Probably alone.
Oh, I hate being alone. But probably alone. If it was just problem people and annoying, I would just have to deal with it.
Would you rather be completely invisible for one day or be able to fly?
Fly.
Invisible for one day.
What would be the first thing in the first place you would go if you were invisible?
Everywhere. Everywhere. I'm going everywhere.
Fly.
Invisible.
All right, why would you want to be able to fly instead of being invisible?
Dude, just think about that. That's your transportation issues for your entire life solved. Invisible, yeah, whatever, you can rob a bank. But if you're the guy who flies, you get paid to fly around, you know?
Yeah, you could rob a bank though. Get away with it.
You can rob a bank and fly away.
You could like listen.
Yo, you would mess everybody up. They'll be like, who robbed the bank?
You could find a lot of things out.
Yeah.
Would you rather be able to see 10 minutes into your own future or 10 minutes into the future of anyone but yourselves, but you could pick the person?
Like, you can pick them, like, continually, so this is like a superpower. You can
Just one time, 10 minutes. Into yours or somebody else's.
and it's only 10 minutes into the future. It's somebody else's, for sure.
Yeah, I think someone else's because I would overthink if it was my own.
Exactly. That's like 10 minutes out, you know, who cares? For personally, but you can make someone else's day.
It could be a big
Yeah.
moment that you don't want to know about. Like maybe you get hit by a car
Yeah,
or something.
that's true, yeah.
10 minutes into my future. Yes, at any moment. Yes.
Probably somebody else's because I feel like if I saw my own future, I'd probably freak out.
Probably 10 minutes into my own future so I can, see what's going on in my life, what I should do and what I shouldn't do.
Yeah, definitely. Because 10 minutes, I would do a lot of crazy stuff in 10 minutes. I got to stop myself from doing some crazy stuff in 10 minutes.
Would you rather your family love you and the world hate you, or the world hate you and your family love you?
My family love me because I think those are the people I'm connected to and know. Like, if the world hates me, it doesn't really impact me. I don't think. I don't, them. I don't know them.
She can go first.
I literally don't know. Oh, I want to say I want the world to love me and my family to hate me, but then I also don't want my family to hate me.
Family love always. Forget the world.
Family love.
I'm gonna go with I want my family to hate me and the world to love me.
All right.
I don't want either of those, man.
It depends on the side of the family. But if we were just talking in general, I'd rather the world hate me because I don't care about them. I don't care about y'all, so.
Yeah, family is definitely important to me, so I'd rather my family love me and the world hate me.
Right, who needs the world anyway?
And that is it for our Would You Rather challenge. Thank you again to our guests for allowing us to interview them, and thank you for watching.
That was cool.
So that was exceptionally awesome, and I really like how some of the people's reactions to the questions are that you gave to them. With that, we're going to go on to our next classmate, Fred. How are you today, Fred?
Thank you. Happy to be here. Well, basically, my PSA is about friendship because, I think that, children, at their age, they're unaware of the effects of bullying. So I wanted to basically, show the world and, show, the youth on, what it is to be a real friend and, to show someone, that support that a person may need. Yeah, so that's basically what it was all about. Hope you enjoy. Have you ever wondered what a true friend is? This is what a true friend looks like. Everyone needs a person to have their back and give a helping hand. A person that will never see you starve. Everyone needs a friend that is not afraid to skip down the street with them. Friendship. Pass it on.
Fred, I have to absolutely agree with you. Friendship is very important. Moving on, our next fellow classmate is Ivan. How are you today, Ivan?
Welcome, Thomas. I'm happy to be here. My PSA is about an organization called the Clean Air Task Force, which basically their goal in mind is to further the research of air pollution and possibly get clean air to certain countries like China and Taiwan, mostly island and Eastern Asian countries where a lot of stuff is produced.
I can absolutely agree with that. I've actually been to those countries myself, particularly when I was in China, and yes, the air pollution there is absolutely terrible. So with that, we're going to take a look at Ivan's PSA on clean air. You know, for myself, it's always kind of hard to imagine a world without clean air. And so we have to be very thankful that at least our air quality is much better than it is in other countries. My next guest is a very close friend of mine, Jonah. Welcome, Jonah.
Hi.
And Jonah's going to tell us about his PSA on suicide prevention.
Yes, my PSA is on suicide, and just wanted to raise awareness about this. A lot of people have been suffering through this, and just wanted to get it out there that there is hope and there is help. So, yeah, thanks.
Excellent. This is something that's also very dear to my heart, and so I'm very curious to see how this goes.
Between 2001 to 2014, 22% of suicides were veterans. It may seem hard to ask for help, but you are not alone. Asking for help is not a weakness, and no one will think less of you for asking. Your issues are real and hopefully temporarily. Suicide is permanent and cannot be undone. Many options are available to offer support. Call 800-273-8255 and press 1. Text 838-255 or visit us online at veterancrisisline.net.
As a Marine combat veteran, I myself have been personally touched by this tragic situation and can only hope that one day this will no longer be a tragedy that we face. Moving on to something as equally sombering is student debt, which will be shared with by my friend here, Josh.
How you doing, Tom?
Thank
Glad
you.
To be here.
So tell us about your PSA.
Basically, my PSA is about tuition reform. I feel like tuition is just too overpriced for a lot of people to get to school, and I know especially now you need an education to get anywhere. So I think tuition reform is important.
Absolutely, I totally agree with that, because not only getting a college education is important, but education is actually a lifelong endeavor. So I'm very interested to see how your view on this very hot topic matter is.
Do you have a dream? Well, so do we. Every day we work just for a shot to be something great. Nothing can stop us. except maybe these. It's time for tuition reform. Now.
Outside of medical expenses, education is the second leading cause of deep debt for today's young citizens, and so I hope this is something that we can get a really good reform done on. While I have you up here, Josh also had done an electronic news gathering, and I'd like for you to share with us about that.
Well, the electronic news gathering I actually helped you with. We talked about Operation Desert Storm and what the overall tone or feeling was during that time. You obviously were in Desert Storm. What is, once we talked to these people, not a lot of people remembered. How did you remember that time?
Are you asking about how I felt while I was there, or how I felt about people's responses to the questions?
Both.
Okay, well, I was obviously there, so that was a very interesting experience, and one I will never forget about. Every day I talk about it at least once or think about it, it never leaves my mind. So the purpose of doing the electronic news gathering, though, we're coming up on the 30th anniversary of it, and I just really feel like we've been forgotten. And so I wanted to do a test survey of just random strangers in Philadelphia to see if they happened to remember what it was about. And I wasn't very surprised by the answers that we had received, and so we're going to take a look at that right now. This is Thomas. I'm here in Love Park in central Philadelphia, and we're going to be asking people questions about the 1990s. Most specifically, what do you remember about the year 1990? And also, did you ever hear of a conflict called Desert Storm? And finally, our last question will be, what was the mood that you observed here in Philadelphia? Hi, this is Thomas, and we are in Love Park in Philadelphia, and we're going to interview this nice young lady. What is your name, please?
Heather.
Heather. So I'm going to ask you just a couple of questions about the 90s. What is one thing that you remember most about the year 1990?
Drinking.
Drinking. Okay, all right, that's a good thing. So now, the other thing I'd like to ask you is, have you heard of a conflict called Desert Storm?
Yes.
And what do you remember about Desert Storm?
I remember putting a lot of canned goods in my basement because I thought we were all going to die.
Okay, so you thought basically an apocalypse was going to come about because of that war?
Yeah, that's what they said, basically.
So again, I'm Thomas, and I'm here with William. And William, I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions about 1990. What is the one thing you remember most about the year 1990?
1990, let's see, I think Bill Clinton was the president. And Persian Gulf War. That's the most thing, that's what I remember. Gas prices were cheaper. That's basically what I remember about 90.
Okay. Well, actually, the president at the time was George H.W. Bush, but that's okay. But you answered a very good question, though, the Persian Gulf War. What do you remember about Desert Storm?
I remember thinking a lot of people thought it wasn't going to be as serious as it was, you know, but anytime we have a war, there are casualties with our troops in harm's way. And even though it wasn't as devastating as a lot of the wars that we had, it was a war. So yeah, I do remember that. And I remember, now that you mentioned it, Bush was the president, right? And he's the one that coined the term Desert Storm.
My name is Thomas, and I'm here in Love Park in Philadelphia. And your name again was?
It's John.
John, thank you. So first question I'd like to ask you is, what is the thing you remember most from the year 1990?
Year 1990, World Cup, Soccer World Cup.
Okay.
It was the first time I'd ever been to the States. I'm
Okay.
from England.
Okay.
Coaching soccer over here in Minnesota. And England didn't qualify for the World Cup, so I remember watching a World Cup without England for the first time for a long time.
Okay, and did you ever hear of a conflict called Desert Storm?
I did, yeah.
Now, from being from England, what do you remember about what was talked about Desert Storm in England?
Well, I was in college at the time in England, and obviously we were involved in Desert Storm as well, so it involved us just as much. I remember sitting at home, watching the first night that it went off with the tracer bullets going through the sky and hitting the ground. Yeah, I remember a lot about it.
This is again Thomas here, and I'm with Bob. Thank you very much for being on our show today. So Bob, I see you're an Army veteran, so this might be a little bit more relevant to you, but what do you remember about the year 1990?
If you're referring to Desert Storm, I remember that Kuwait was invaded by Saddam Hussein. Hope I got this all straight. And that the U.S. coalition went in and removed Saddam Hussein's troops from Kuwait. I remember that First President George Bush was pressured to continue on into Iraq. However, he did not do so, and probably for many good reasons, it worked out well that he did not. However, unfortunately, as the Iraqi troops were retreating, they set fire to a lot of the oil wells, and took a pretty long time to remove to get those fires extinguished. However, the U.S. was able to do it in pretty good record time, much better than they had predicted.
Okay, and do you remember how the sense of things were around here in Philadelphia at the time when Desert Storm was taking place?
I mean, I think everybody was in support of it. And I mean, the gas, everybody was trying to get the gas, and I don't really remember too much about it, but I do have the newspaper articles that I just found recently and thought I might look them over.
Now, were you living here in Philadelphia at the time?
Yeah, I was.
Do you remember what the mood was in the city at the time while Desert Storm was taking place?
Kind of, sort of. I kind of, like I said before, I kind of remember people not taking it so serious. It was like kind of almost on the heels of the Grenada thing. And it wasn't as big as like maybe Iran or something like that. But again, it was a war, and it didn't last the whole. It wasn't a big thing. But again, I served in the military myself. And we had troops in harm's way, so I do remember that.
Now, where were you in 1990?
I was here in Philadelphia, actually.
And what do you remember about the mood in the city during that time?
At that time, it was positive. I mean, we felt that Kuwait had been invaded unjustly. Of course, there was a situation in the UN, I believe it was the UN, where one of the ambassador's daughters supposedly came in. Well, she did come in, and she said that the Iraqi troops were killing the babies in the Kuwaiti hospitals. Turned out that was propaganda, it was not true, but it did help spread a feeling that the U.S. was justified in going in.
Okay, and my last question for you, and this will be great, what would you say the national mood in England was about Desert Storm?
I think it was pretty conflicted. I think some people were very much in favor of it, and other people really felt that it was the Americans going in just because of oil and money to do with oil. So there was definitely some mixed feelings and mixed thoughts about it.
And that concludes our interviews for today on the streets of Philadelphia. I'm Thomas Mason. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you again on our next episode. And cut. That was it. Like you. And have a great day. Okay. Thank you. Cut. Josh, thank you very much for coming up and helping me share my story about Desert Storm. With that, our next guest is another classmate of mine, Nahalie, who I've known now going on about 6 months now. We were in another class together. So Nahalie, please tell us about your PSA.
Well, my PSA is about gun control, and is infecting people.
Absolutely. There's one thing, and this is actually a project that her and I collaborated on together. And with that, we're going to take a look at Nahalie's PSA.
Enough is enough. Time to end gun violence. We must repeal the Second Amendment.
I am a firm believer in the Second Amendment, and repeal is not an option.
Then how we can find compromise?
Once every 4 years, when you renew your driver's license, is that you renew your application for the license of the weapon that you own. A well-trained citizenry should know how to operate their weapon and how to qualify with it.
I think that is a reasonable solution.
That was really good work, Nahalie, and I was very happy to be able to help you with that. Next up, we have Tyrone. Welcome, Tyrone.
How you doing, Tom?
Good, thank you. So please tell us about your PSA.
All right. Basically, my PSA is about animal adoption. I was going to do it on animal abuse, but I went out into the animal shelter and seen a lot of sad animals that needed homes. So I wanted to encourage and motivate people to not only love an animal, but like open your home to an animal. And that's what I want to do.
Yeah, totally something that I can relate to as well, because I too have rescued a dog, and so this is something that is very near and dear to my heart, and I look forward to seeing this with you.
Hi, I am Michelle Hutchison. Please say that you will be the answer for an innocent animal who is suffering. Please call the number on the screen or go online and go to our website, adoptandcare.com.
You will be rescuing animals from abuse and giving them a loving home.
This is a chance to say I won't sit by and let animals suffer by being selfish.
Because a wise man once told me that we are animals too. We are just selfish animals by not caring.
So I am asking you, don't be a selfish animal and be a caring one by adopting an animal and giving them a loving family and home.
Call this number, 1-800-ADOPT-AND-CARE.
Or the website, adoptandcare.com. Woo!
I have to tell you, Tyrone, your mom is hilarious, and I hope one day I'll be able to have a chance to meet with her. But I have to tell you, that subject, as I shared, is really important to me. As I've shared with you, I have a rescue dog of my own, and I think sometimes it can be really asked who rescued whom, because I feel like sometimes there are days when my dog rescued me. So, with that, my next guest is Victor, who is actually the producer for our class today. Welcome, Victor.
Thank you for having me, and hello, everybody.
So, tell us about your PSA.
So my PSA is about drinking water. I thought about this for a couple of days now, trying to figure out what I want to do, and I kind of want to go for a comical relief and just, but still give facts and details about the importance of drinking water. Okay.
So in my worldwide travels, I have to tell you, there have been a lot of places that didn't have clean drinking water, which at first was a very alien concept to me. So it definitely helped me appreciate being an American even more for the clean water that we do have to drink. So let's take a look at Victor's PSA.
Oh, hey guys, you just caught me working out. I'm here to talk to you guys about something very important today, the importance of drinking water. And who am I? I'm Truman Burbank.
And I'm Water. Nah, I got this. You can get back to doing your workout. You're looking a little flabby. Give me 30 push-ups, jump lunges, squats. Drinking water improves your skin complexion. Drinking water increases energy and relieves fatigue. Water helps build muscle and helps reduce weight loss. Spring is here, boys and girls. If you're trying to get that beach ball ready, you gotta put in the work. Drink more water and exercise before you start looking like one of these camera guys.
That was absolutely amazing, and so I have to tell you that having known Aaron, he definitely was a very good actor, the best person to portray that role. But on the other note to go with that, though, is that clean water is something that we all take for granted around here. So drinking more water is very good for you. My next guest is another close friend of mine, Shaun Hardrick. Welcome, Shaun.
Hey, Tom. Thanks for having me.
So what I'd like to do is ask you about your PSA and what that's all about.
Sure. My PSA is an extension of a project that me and another classmate, Josh Miller, started in January, which trying to build a student-run production crew, and this PSA is really bringing awareness to that. The Art Institute is now a non-for-profit organization owned by the Dream Center Foundation,
Yes.
and we would like to leverage that relationship by trying to apply for grants and federal work-study dollars so we can be paid while we practice our crafts outside of class. So.
Yes, and in fact, I just learned about that yesterday when I was sitting in your business of digital film production class, and I was very intrigued about that. And so this is going to be an excellent way to promote your program, and I think one thing that I'm going to probably try to get involved in with as well. So
Funny thing you mentioned that. You will receive an email over the next 3 weeks personally inviting you to our next meeting, along with other classmates from that same class who just wowed me with their business plan. So look forward to it.
And with that, we'll take a look at Shaun's PSA.
B, guess what? I'm about to shoot my first music video.
Bae, I'm so proud of you. So walk me through your video treatment.
I ain't got no video treatment.
So what location have you selected?
So we just gonna shoot it on the block.
Bae, what have you done so far to make you think you're ready to shoot your first video?
My cousin Ron got the iPhone 8. The video gonna be lit. I'm about to shoot my first music video.
Bae, hang up the phone, open your email, and send a message to behindtheviewfinder@gmail.com. They will plan, shoot, edit, and distribute your video online for free.
Word? They do all that for free?
Yeah! Behind the Viewfinder is who should shoot your first video.
Shoot, as long as it's free, it's all right with me. I'm gonna send them an email right now, all right?
Behind the Viewfinder, helping creative talent find creative production crews.
Yes, Shaun, more than anything else, I definitely want to be a part of this endeavor that you're putting together. While I have you up here on stage with us, Shaun also put together an electronic news gathering, so please tell us about that one.
Well, I can't take the full credit for the electronic news gathering. It was an extension of an assignment we had in audio for video production. The treatment came from Brandon Barbarino and Kyle Dooley, and essentially we went out on the streets of Philly to Love Park and interviewed people. But what we learned was the importance of getting releases signed, the importance of knowing who you are and having some type of handout to give people to encourage them to participate. So it was a really great learning experience for everyone.
Definitely, and one thing that's good about this program, producing and directing, is it lets you know all of the hard things that go into making these things behind the scenes.
Exactly.
That a lot of people don't really think about that often. So let's take a look at Shaun's electronic news gathering program.
Hello, I'm Kyle Dooley. We are in Love Park here. We are going to be interviewing people about the latest movie they saw, what their thoughts were on it, and all that. So let's do it. All right, hello. I am Kyle. I'm here with
Yuka.
Yuka from Japan.
Yay!
How are you doing today?
Very good, thank you.
Very good. Yuka, what's the last movie you saw in the movie theater?
I saw the movie theater, or
Yes.
I just came from Japan.
You just came from Japan?
Yes, I'm visiting Philly, and I watched Lady Bird.
Lady Bird.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yes, I
Yeah?
really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. All right, hello again. I'm here with
Gio.
Gio, can you talk into the mic?
Gio.
Gio. Awesome. Gio, what's the last movie you saw in the theaters?
Oh, in theaters? Wait, what was the last movie we saw in theaters? Hold on, we could take two. Yeah. What was the last movie we saw in theaters? Come here.
Come on.
What's a movie? Oh, damn, what's that boxing movie?
Which one?
The boxing one? Oh, Creed. That's what it was.
Creed?
Yeah, Creed.
How'd you like Creed?
Yeah, Creed. It was the last movie.
All right, I'm here with
Mark Dixon.
Mark?
Yeah.
How's your day going today, Mark?
All is well, all is well.
Good, good. I just want to ask you a quick question. What was the last movie you saw in the theaters?
The Avengers, unfortunately.
Unfortunately?
Yeah.
Why unfortunately?
Highly upset. I didn't like the ending.
Well,
like ending that
now
off.
can I ask you, did you not like the ending because it was sad or because it was bad?
It could have ended a whole lot better than it did.
Yeah.
With Thanos just sitting there in a cave and it just goes off.
All right, Kyle here. I'm here with.
I'm Shaun.
Shaun, it's nice to meet you, Shaun.
Hey, what's going on, Kyle?
So I just want to ask you, what's the last movie you saw in the theaters?
Let me see. I think, you know what? It was the Avengers Infinity War.
Infinity War.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I saw that on Sunday. I was pretty hungover, but I'm still getting over that. The Avengers, not the hangover.
Okay. How about that?
What'd you think of it?
You know what? Overall, I was pleased. You know, I'm a big
Agreed.
comic book fan, so I kind of knew the plot and how
Yeah.
it twisted. But, you know, it could have been a little bit better directed. You know what I mean? It left you hanging. You know, and as a viewer, you don't want to be, you know, hanging around as much as you would like. You want to be put to the end. You know what I'm saying? So it left me hanging, but I was pleased with the graphics. You know, everything, the showmanship, everything was dope about it. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, well, maybe we gotta wait a whole year.
I know.
For the wrap up of all that.
Yeah, and it's like I waited there for all of that and just to get that?
2.5 hours.
Almost 2.5 hours, but all in all, it was a good movie. I just really didn't like the end of it.
Yeah, I didn't either. I will admit I did cry during that one death, the very last one. I think you know who I'm talking about.
Oh no, you can't be talking about Samuel
okay.
Jackson.
It's okay. But anyway,
I think Spider-Man was probably the saddest.
Definitely.
It was a good movie. It was about boxing, yeah.
Yeah, you know they're actually filming the
Part
second
2.
one in South Philly right now.
Yeah, I heard about it.
Yeah, Stallone was down there doing meet and greets and taking pictures. You gonna see the second one?
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely go see that when it come out.
Yeah, I think it comes out next year actually.
Yeah.
So we can look forward to that. And what's a movie out now that you are interested in seeing?
Right now?
Yeah.
I don't know any movies right now.
Maybe
Yeah.
Infinity War or something?
Infinity War?
Yeah.
I want to watch Avengers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I
should
wanna
definitely
watch
see it.
Okay.
So, are you planning on seeing any other movies in the theaters this time?
Yeah, they got a lot of good movies, but that's really one of the ones I really want to go see, because part 1 was good.
Yeah. All right, so I hope you get to see that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But I'm waiting for Deadpool next week. I already got my tickets. I'm waiting for that. I just hope that's not a letdown.
No, I doubt very seriously. I mean, it's got cable in it.
Yeah. I think it's about time they put him in a movie.
Exactly.
You know.
All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank
I
you.
hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
You do the same.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I hope you have fun here. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you again.
Appreciate it, guys.
Have a good one. All right. So we had a pretty productive day. Most people saw Infinity War, which can't blame them. So I think the lesson we all learned here is watch more movies, people. So until next time. Dude's tall as hell. See in frame? But anyway,
I think Spider-Man is probably the saddest.
Definitely. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
You do the same.
Thank you. All right, thank you again.
Appreciate it, guys.
Have a good one.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So that was actually really interesting in that I really, myself, am a movie aficionado, and how much it plays an integral part in our social conversation, because when you need to have something to talk about, movies is definitely one of them. So we're coming towards the end of our program, and joining me on stage is Professor Craig DeVideo, the professor for producing and directing. Welcome, Professor DeVideo.
Well, Thomas, thank you so much, young man. You did a wonderful job being the host today, and I want to thank you for having me here.
So with that, we're going to review my PSA, which is about the Desert Storm Memorial. And it's always one thing when you have the professor with you, he gets to ask you questions specifically about it.
So Tom, as you've witnessed, you've been the host asking all these other great television filmmaking students about their programs. And now I have a small opportunity to do the same too. So Tom, tell me about the objective of your program and some of the challenges you had conceptualizing it and creating it.
Well, so the thing is I'm a Desert Storm combat veteran of the Marine Corps, and now we're in the final stages going through Congress of building a monument that will be dedicated to Desert Storm. And so I wanted to actually be a part of that, so I was able to get fellow student Jonah Brandt to go down to Washington, D.C. with me, and the treatment or the concept behind it would be for me walking from the World War I monument to the World War II Korean and Vietnam veterans, and then basically asking people to help get the Desert Storm Memorial erected, because one thing a lot of people don't know is that this is not paid for with taxpayer dollars. Congress sets aside the land, and that's the government's contribution. Everything else will be resting upon corporate and individual donations. So this is the concept that I'd like to bring awareness to.
Well, that's wonderful. And again, in many cases, as a general Joe citizen, I would know nothing about that. So I'm certainly hoping this video program provides your organization or your idea with a platform to communicate the thought. Boy, these cameras are jumping around today. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a moment and watch Tom's video program on the effort to create a fund to support the creation of a monument for the veterans of Desert Storm. Let's play that video.
Building a memorial starts with you. Visit the National Desert Storm War Memorial at ndswm.org. So that's the PSA that I have for Desert Storm, and so I'm sure Professor DeVidio has some questions about that.
I do, Tom, and boy, it's wonderful seeing that you and fellow classmates here at the Art Institute took the time and energy to create a message about supporting our veterans in many different divisions. Now, Tom, as I understand, not only did you have to pack up and travel to another state, to travel far away, to go all the way to Washington, but while you were there, you had some people interacting with you that surprised you, and secondarily, if I'm not incorrect, on that video, there's some raw footage of actually you being a soldier in Desert Storm. Could you talk about those elements, please?
Yes, so first the latter part, the combat footage from Desert Storm is actually of myself at the Battle of Khafji, and so that was actually filmed by the BBC that came out during that battle. But back to the question though about the interesting encounter. So when we got to the Korean War Memorial, it just so happened that the timing, we got there about 10 a.m., so most of the tourists had started to come out that day, and 2 busloads of Korean tourists had arrived, and they actually thought that I was a part of the memorial itself. So I'm trying to get the footage going, and Jonah's off to the distance, so we're talking hand and arm signals to be able to start shooting, mostly thumbs up, thumbs down. But then all of a sudden the tourists are coming over with their cell phones, and they're communicating with hand gestures, basically signaling, can we get a selfie with you? And of course I needed to be diplomatic, you know, as a representative of this country. So I smiled and we did, and then all of a sudden about 10 more tourists came over to ask for selfies with me. All the while we're burning daylight, literally, because of the way we needed to do the shot. And finally I found 2 Americans that were willing to help us block traffic so that we could get that 3-second clip of me walking left to right. And
it's a very busy location.
It is a very, they're all very busy, yes. And
you've got a lot of people honoring the different structures down there that are representational of the different battles, and you walking from location to location. Your original concept was to edit that together and make a video program of you just walking back and forth. But what we saw here was a mix of media that was from what you acquisitioned, which was current, and then you used archival footage as well, which is amazing. And how'd that play out? Where did you get that kind of stuff from?
Well, the footage for the first three, for World War I, World War II, and for Korea, we did find on YouTube. But the Desert Storm footage actually is a documentary series called Battle Plan. And so we were able to extract the video footage off of the documentary and plug it into this one as well. So it always had been my concept to mix the two together, represent one war, the monument to it, the next war, the monument to that, till we got to the Desert Storm one, where we show up in an empty field and there's nothing to show for it.
Yes, sir. And I think that as a viewer, and I call myself Joe Citizen, it's great to know that these things, these challenges exist, that you do need funding, and commercial packages like these, we call them PSAs, public service announcements, need to be created by citizens like yourself, who are, of course, in your case, you're a veteran, to expound on that message and communicate the need for us to contribute to really good programs like yours. So Tom, I want to thank you for creating that message and allowing us to get some better knowledge of the need of the memorial that you're fundamentally spearheading here in the Philadelphia region, which is wonderful. And you said the final memorial will probably end up in Washington?
Yes, that is correct. So the location has pretty much been designated. It'll be across the street from where the Vietnam War Memorial is and somewhat adjacent to the Lincoln Memorial. So it'll be at 23rd and Constitution in Washington, D.C. There's still one element left for approval, and then once that's completed, then the fundraising for the actual monument will begin.
And so your video is part of a larger project to fundraise. It's not the only video ever created like this, or are there videos like this for the purposes of Desert Storm Memorial funds? I mean, are the videos like this created by other video people across the United States, or you're the first one?
Well, somewhat embarrassingly, I must say, I haven't done that research to know. However, I've never seen any television shows or commercials representing that. The only way I became aware of this actually is one of the Facebook groups that I belong to is Desert Storm Combat Veterans, and it was just a matter of when I opened up Facebook, there it was in my feed, and so I started reading it, and so that was the spark that said, hey, I want to do something like this, because it's very important to me. And so now I'm sort of in the situation of how can I bring awareness to this and be a student at the Art Institute at the same time. So I am quite literally multitasking. So I'm using the requirements of the school and saying, hey, how can I connect this to something about Desert Storm? And so that's what my focus has been on this past quarter.
That's wonderful. And also, once you get your video mounted to Vimeo or to YouTube or something like that, you can then copy paste those attributes to your Facebook feed and show all the veterans across the world that are part of that particular Facebook group what you've done and how that's affected you. And what a great thing to publicize something like this in a very public way. Well, Tom, I want to congratulate you on the creation of that. It's so wonderful working with outside vendors, right? That's the biggest benefit of being a student in a media arts program, is having the chance to work with an outside organization, helping them tell their stories. So this will be a pretty good segue for me and Tom for a moment. Tom's now going to ask me a few questions. I'll start off by saying that, being an instructor in a media arts-based program provides me the opportunity to allow students to vent their creativity, tell their own stories, and test their level of technique and ability on technology. And in our course here, I had encouraged the students to use our television studio to do a live show, and inside that live show to roll in the B-roll of things that they created together as groups. So they created 3 different news packages where they went out and interviewed people on the street, one topic was also on the Desert Storm awareness. And also, each student had a chance to create their own. You could switch to a second camera that's of Tom and I together, that's fine. And we also had the ability to create, give the students an opportunity to create their own story on paper and ask somebody else in the group to produce it for them. So basically, Tom created a story and then gave that idea over to somebody else. And then they went ahead and tried to create it. And then Tom received paperwork from somebody else and he tried to create it. So Tom, tell us about that experience, what it was like for you to create somebody else's program. I mean, you've heard it from the other students. What was your challenges in helping somebody else create their ideas?
I would say very much from the very beginning was conceptualizing their idea into actually taking place. And that's always probably, I would say, the hardest part is that almost like immediately I had writer's block. How am I going to execute the idea that they just gave to me and make it a good program that would have a good flow, make sense, and also, to be honest, meet your requirements.
Yeah, sure.
And so that was definitely a challenge on that. And then with going back to my PSA, that challenge was, as you had mentioned, going to Washington, D.C. I have to really thank Jonah Brandt immensely for that because I had to convince him to get up at 2:30 on a Sunday morning to be ready for pickup at 3 a.m. and drive 3 hours to Washington, D.C. so that we could be there when the sun, just before the sun would rise in the morning to do our setup. And with that, we definitely had one big challenge on scene was that where the monument was we were going to be shooting directly into the sunrise. And we just could not do that. And I would have to say, made it barely. Within 3 seconds of finishing that part, the sun crested. And there would be just no way, no matter how deep that filter had gone on the camera, it was just going to totally blow out the entire scene there. So,
so you were shooting during the golden hour, that 1 hour in the morning, and
yes,
yeah.
We had to do that in the morning. And then one of the other challenges, to back up for a moment, was when we arrived. I had no idea that there was going to be an all-women's half marathon. And so our parking situation was, oh my goodness, where am I going to park? Because I did have a plan that we were going to park where our destination at the end of shooting was going to be, and we would walk to where we were going to start first. So we basically walked, I think, close to a mile, if not short of a mile, with all of our gear. And then, of course, I found my spot, and I didn't keep looking for a parking spot. But just again, with all the challenges, with the sun's coming up, I mean, it's already that pre-dawn light, and then thankfully we found a spot and then walked off to where we were going. So timing was definitely critical to begin the first shoot of the morning.
Well, Tom, it seems like you've learned a lot of the lessons that that are the objectives of a course like this. Helping somebody else tell their story, trying to plan it, trying to find a mechanism when you're doing the shoot to create the material that's needed, and then going back and posting it and editing it. So the name of the course, Producing and Directing, gave you a little taste, like a little spoonful of all the roles, and gave you some perspective. That's kind of what it was. Like, what's it like looking through the lens of somebody who has to direct something or has to produce something? So I want to thank you and the rest of the students here at the Art Institute of Philadelphia for the purposes of the spring 2018 class for producing really good programs. I think we all had a chance to learn a lot from one another. I think some of the lessons that got learned was learning how to play nice in a sandbox. One word I heard often was communication, and that's something that you'd think that would be easy for those young people and older people as well that have this new technology called the cell phone. You'd think they would be easy to communicate with one another, but you do find that the question needs to be answered, the what needs to be done, who's going to do it, and when they're going to do it, right? The three simple things, the what, who, and when, and you still find people disappointing each other on a fairly consistent basis, whether it's a professional environment or a student environment. But because you guys cared enough, you stepped up for one another over and over and over again. And I'm proud to say we finished out the course with some really good video programs and some programs, as witnessed, that need some improvement because we're all learning. This is part of the objective of being in school. So, pardon me, from my heart, I do want to thank you for watching today. I'm sorry, I've got a little cough. I'm going to allow Tom to finish this off, and I'm Craig DeVideo again, an instructor here at the Art Institute of Philadelphia. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor DeVideo. On behalf of the students of the Spring 2018 Producing and Directing class, we wish to thank you for taking the time to review the materials, and we will also have the opportunity to do better, stronger, and much more improved next time around. Thank you for joining us. Have a good day.